Hello, and welcome to another Bundesbag Vodcast. Well, there are 3 games to go, and it's getting very exciting, perhaps more at the bottom, but still very exciting at the top. Let's begin with a quick preview then. Tonight's game, there's still time. Bochum are playing Stuttgart at home. Bochum were wonderful value on the television the last time they were on. So if you are in this evening and you fancy watching a football match and you're new to the Bundesliga, I can recommend it. It's a different experience. It's a small ground and they'll be vociferous. They really need the points very badly, Bochum. They're on 28 points at the moment with Freiburg and with Nuremberg, and they really need to get away from there. It's getting really, really tight. So they're playing Stuttgart. Stuttgart have an outside chance of getting into the Europa League, but they had a dreadful start to the season and are still very much making up for lost ground. So you could say that there isn't that much in it in there for Stuttgart. So it's a game that Bochum can win. Um, on the subject of relegation matters, we may as well just stick with that. Nuremberg are playing Dortmund, and Dortmund need the points themselves. They want to qualify for the Champions League. That's going to be a huge struggle, although Nuremberg are at home. Hertha are playing Schalke. Schalke could be relegated. Hertha could be relegated today if things don't turn out too well. Although they'll probably last another week. So that's a bad scene for them. They're at home, and Schalke could have the collywobbles because they desperately need to win because they need to keep up with Bayern. Bayern are playing Gladbach. Gladbach are a tough side, and Gladbach are at home. So Bayern could trip up over them, particularly if they've got slight sort of like in-betweeny Champions League issues going on there. But you would expect Bayern to win that game. So Schalke need to keep the pressure on. Um, who else is there that we can have a look at? The Freiburg, yes, of course, also on 28 points. They're playing Wolfsburg on Sunday, and well, yeah, Wolfsburg do have their own agenda for sure, but it's a big moment for Robin Dutt and his players. So we shall see what happens. Anything else to tell you about? Well, Bremen are challenging for a Champions League spot. They've got the sort of making up the ground on Leverkusen, and they're playing Cologne, whose season is, let's face it, over. Leverkusen are playing Hanover, the other team in the relegation mix, and well, after Hanover's absolute tonking at Bayern, it would just be typical if they bounced back and won 3-0, and it would be typical of Leverkusen's season, which is just crumbling around them. And they are, I would say, probably stick on for not qualifying for the Champions League, which in a way would be terribly sad, but in another way would be incredibly funny. Other ties to tell you about, well, Mainz versus Frankfurt isn't terribly exciting. Hoffenheim versus Hamburg. Hoffenheim have had a bit of a rocket up their backside from Dietmar Hopp, the owner. They're going to be anxious to get one over Hamburg because everyone's anxious to get one over Hamburg these days. Heaps and heaps of pressure on Bruno Labbadia now, the Hamburg boss, especially after a disappointing, from their point of view, 0-0 draw in the Europa League with Fulham. And again, another team whose season is just about, it's on the absolute tipping point, isn't it? It's on an absolute knife edge. So that will be in itself will be an intriguing game. I think I've gone through them all. That should do it. I hope you enjoy this week's Bundesliga action. And if you don't enjoy it, then come over to some people on the pitch on Monday morning for the Bundesbag, and I'll tell you about all the stuff that you missed. Okay, until then, cheerio. Bye.